Welcome back to the channel Darkness in the Night. Before we begin episode 2, let's take a moment to recap what happened last time. The Zero Club snuck into the abandoned mansion on Con Heo Hill to film their 0.0 MHz frequency challenge. But the moment the vintage radio crackled to life, a woman's voice, tinged with a strange French accent, echoed out. Dragging along a chain of terrifying phenomena, 3 knocks from inside the walls. A white-out dye-like silhouette gliding across the hallway, and cotton balls soaked in blood suddenly appearing inside each person's mouth. Everything spiraled when Phát died horribly, dragged backward up all 99 steps of the staircase as the sound of his breaking bones snapped through the house. Now, the mansion seems truly awake, and it has no intention of letting anyone leave. If you enjoy this series, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next chapters. And now, we begin episode 2 of the haunted mansion of Vung Tau. That night, the Vung Tau sea wind howled through the shattered windows, carrying a salty, metallic chill that crawled straight down their spines. Ngoc Linh stood frozen at the foot of the staircase where Phát had vanished, her entire body trembling with each shriek of wind scraping across the rotting roof. At her feet, the smear of dried blood, thick, dark, almost breathing, clung to the wood like a stain that refused to die. No one dared take a step. Minh clutched the old radio tight against his chest, his face drained of color. Tu gripped her tarot card so hard the edges bent, her fingers slick with sweat. Nam kept filming, but his hands shook so violently the frame jittered non-stop. The third floor above them was pitch black, a gaping void like a monstrous open mouth waiting to swallow a second victim. A tiny sound echoed from above, a wooden floorboard creaking under a slow, deliberate step. The entire group looked up at once, hearts seizing. The darkness near the top of the stairs dimmed slightly, as if someone were standing at the highest step, blocking the breeze from the broken vent behind them. No matter how long they stared, they couldn't make out a face, only a blurred, smoke-like outline, a white dress trailing weightlessly, swaying with the mansion's ragged breaths. A raspy voice rose, filtered through layers of rotten cotton. "Come upstairs." The whisper stretched long and thin, so cold their skin prickled instantly. Nam stumbled back, shoulders trembling, the camera dipping toward the floor. Don't go up there, it's still there, still standing there." Minh swallowed hard, trying to steady himself, though his voice cracked like he was about to cry. We have to find Phát, we can't just leave him." Linh stepped forward, eyes tense but determined, wrestling against the terror clawing at her insides. She scanned around for any other way to reach the third floor without using the same staircase that had devoured their friend. There wasn't one. The French-style mansion funneled every path upward into that single spiraling set of stairs. A sudden blast of wind slammed a window shut. From the third floor, footsteps sounded again, this time heavier. Deliberate, stomping. Creak. Groan. Creak. Tu jolted violently. Eyes rolled wide. The tarot deck slipped from her hands and scattered across the floor. She gasped, grabbing Lin's sleeve like a drowning woman reaching for the last floating plank. It's coming down. Lin, it's coming to find us." Lin felt the cold air coiling around the staircase, draining warmth from their bodies. She inhaled deeply, forcing her voice steady. "We need to get away from the third floor, as far as possible." Another noise slithered through the dark, a child's soft giggle right beside their ears. Tiny but sharp enough to pierce the eardrum like a needle. Minh jerked backward, clutching his head with both hands. "That's not the woman anymore, that's a child's voice." "Lin, the radio, look." It turned on by itself. Just as he said, the old radio trembled violently in his arms before releasing a faint static hiss, then the sound sharpened. A hiccup. A muffled sob. Then an infant's scream, choked. Strangled. Wind blasted the window open again. The white figure on the stairs twitched as if startled by the baby's cry. Everyone froze. Lin felt a cold, invisible palm slide across her spine. Nam stammered. Lin, let's go, downstairs, the small staircase behind the kitchen. I saw a door open earlier. Lin glanced toward the back hall leading to the crumbling kitchen. There was a narrow exit, but as her phone light swept across, the shadow at the far end of the corridor shifted. Not fast, slowly, like someone leaning against the wall with folded arms, tilting their head to watch them. Lin's cheeks went numb. That shadow had no legs. She opened her mouth to warn the others when a loud thud cracked through the air, something thrown violently onto the first step of the staircase. They spun around. It was an ear. Pale, limp, stuffed with cotton soaked in fish sauce. Two screamed. Nam dropped the camera entirely. Min grabbed Lin's arm with all his strength. Run, Lin, run. But just before they could turn away, Lin heard a whisper, so close it grazed the nape of her neck, spoken by a young woman's trembling, grief-strangled voice. Don't leave this place. I'm not done with you yet. And this was only the beginning of the longest night of their lives. The wind from the sea slammed against the shattered window frames again, carrying a briny sting and a damp, icy breath that felt like it had passed through a mouth exhaling right at their necks. Nok Lin clenched her fingers so tightly they turned white. Her eyes locked on the white figure standing halfway up the staircase. Its long dress floated against the direction of the wind, defying every law of nature, swaying slowly like a living creature breathing in the dark. Min stood pressed against Lin's side, chest heaving, breath disordered. The vintage radio in his hands trembled again, so faint it could have been dismissed as imagination, until the child's cry burst out once more. This time as clear as if it were standing right at their feet. A tiny chirp. Then another. Like the tearing sound of an old cassette tape. From inside the radio, a woman's whisper seeped through. Don't leave me behind. The trembling voice stretched thin as thread, soft but sharp enough to send a needle-like sting across every scalp it touched. Nam stumbled backward, shoulders shaking violently, his camera jerking in his grip as if about to fall. It's calling. Lin, who is it calling? Lin couldn't speak. Her throat tightened as though fingers were wrapped around it. At that moment, from the third floor above came a dull thud, not loud but unmistakable. Like someone's skull being slammed against a wall. Thump. Another. Thump. Two collapsed to her knees, hands clutching her head, her whole body trembling as if struck by sudden fever. Cold sweat rolled down her temples as she choked out. It's banging its head on the wall. It's mad at us. Lin. Min clenched his teeth, pulling Lin backward, but as he turned, the severed ear lying on the floor lifted. Not fast, not jerky, but slowly, lifted by a translucent, bone-white hand. Its fingers were long like a bird's bones, nails streaked with dark stains. That hand was touching the ear, almost examining the shape of its own fingers. Nam backed into the wall, voice cracking apart. Don't let it come closer, don't let it. But the hand didn't need to approach. It dropped the ear, then dragged one long line across the floor. The mutilated piece followed the movement, reeking so sharply it clawed at their throats. The cotton inside soaked with fish sauce spreading into a smear. Right then, Lin's phone flashlight flared sharply, landing on the wall ahead. And in that cold beam of light, a face was pressed against the surface. No eyes. No mouth. Just pale skin stretched tight, as though someone had stitched it shut with black thread. Lin inhaled sharply, her heart stopping. That skin began to swell, slowly rounding outward as something inside pushed to escape. A faint pop. A line of thick, fish sauce-colored liquid seeped through the stitches. Two screamed, her voice cracking into sobs. Lin, pull me away. It's breathing behind the wall. It's breathing behind that face. Min panicked instantly and hauled two upward. But the wall in front of them erupted with a new sound, fingernails scratching from inside. One stroke at a time? Scrape, scrape, scrape. So rapid and frantic it felt like dozens of hands clawing through from the other side. Then something horrific happened. The wall bulged outward as if punched from behind. First a small swell. Then a harder one. The third crack burst open, splitting wide enough to reveal a dark hole like a gaping mouth. From inside that opening, something small dropped to the floor. Lynn lowered her light. A newborn's nipple. Tiny. Pale pink. Still attached to dried placenta. Nam collapsed, sobbing without sound. Two backed into Min, shaking uncontrollably. Min's face turned to stone. Lynn stood frozen for several seconds before gritting her teeth and forcing herself to pull everyone upward. We need to get out of here right now." But she hadn't even finished the sentence when the white figure on the staircase stepped down one rung. The wooden floor moaned deeply, like bones cracking under pressure. The white dress floated. Its long black hair hung loose over its face, dripping wet as if soaked in seawater. The air thickened until breathing felt impossible. The stench of fish sauce rose sharply from where the figure stood. And then, for the first time, its voice emerged, not through the radio, not through the wind, but through its own shredded throat. "Stay." The word wasn't loud, but it prickled every hair on Lynn's body. In that instant, she understood one thing. If they didn't find a way out now, none of them would ever leave this house again. The air inside the mansion seemed to solidify the moment the white figure stepped onto the second stair. The long groan from the wood echoed through the hallway like the strangled break of someone's crushed windpipe. The wind died instantly. No more sea, no more leaves rustling outside. Only the ragged breathing of four people cornered with nowhere left to run. Lynn felt a freezing cold slipping into her chest. Like a seawater-soaked hand was squeezing her heart shut. Min stood right beside her, gripping the radio until veins popped blue across his knuckles. Nam sat collapsed on the floor, eyes wide and bloodshot, and Tu was shaking violently, murmuring something incoherent as if her mind had snapped loose. The white figure kept descending the stairs, one step at a time, not fast, not slow, but deliberate, like a predator savoring the terror dripping off its prey. When it reached the third step, a putrid wave of fish sauce stench hit them, so strong Lynn gagged. Her hand flew to her mouth, but the smell clung inside her lungs, rising straight into her skull. A child's scream shrilled from inside the walls, sharp enough to make Tu fling herself backward, screaming in pure panic. "Don't let it come near me, don't let it touch me." Her voice cracked, trembling with something deeper than fear, like a memory clawing its way up from a buried corner of her mind. Thu's eyes drifted, unfocused, as if she no longer recognized anyone around her. Lynn lunged forward, grabbing Thu's shoulders, shaking her hard. "Tu, snap out of it, there's no baby here." But before the sentence fully left her mouth, the wall to their left began to tremble. Not subtly, violently, as if someone, or something, was slamming from the other side. Cracks spidered across the rotting plaster. A split opened, then a tiny hand, pale, dead white, poked through, twitching like a lizard searching for a surface to cling to. Nam shrieked. "Lynn, it's being born in the wall." The tiny hand didn't stop. It shoved further out, followed by a second hand. The little fingers scratched wildly, not searching for escape, but reaching for their legs. Lynn yanked everyone back, but they barely moved 2 steps when a loud crack exploded above them. Chunks of plaster rained down. A rotten beam dropped. Then something long fell straight onto Min's feet. Lynn expected it to be a wire. It wasn't. It was hair. A thick mass of long black hair, drenched in water, dangling in soaked strands like it had just been pulled from the bottom of a well. Min stumbled back, choking on his breath. It's crawling on the ceiling." Lynn looked up, and she saw it. Pinned between 2 wooden beams was a pale face, hanging upside down like a monstrous lizard. Its eyes, white, pupil-less, stared directly at them, unblinking, its long hair draped down. brushing Min's shoulders. Its mouth was stuffed tightly with cotton. But its gaze locked instantly onto Tu. And Lin felt the entire house shift with it. The air thickened. The stench sharpened. The walls vibrated harder. Lin, Min's voice shredded, trembling violently. It's looking at Tu, it picked Tu. Right then, the radio in Min's hand switched on by itself. This time, the voice was neither a child nor a woman, but an old man speaking antique French mixed with Vietnamese tones. Don't let it find that girl, she is the one? The voice choked mid-sentence, suffocated as if hands were crushing his throat from inside the radio. On the ceiling, the pale face slid down, not walking but dropping, yanked by an unseen force, landing right in front of Tu. Wet hair whipped across her face. Cold skin brushed her cheek. Tu froze, her eyes widened, unblinking. And then, she smiled. A twisted smile. The corner of her lips pulled far too high, like invisible strings were yanking her skin upward. Lin stuttered. Tu, that's not Tu anymore. Min, pull her back. Min tried to grab her, but jerked back instantly when something fell from Thu's mouth, a tiny cotton wad soaked in fish sauce. Splatting onto the floor. Tu whispered, her voice no longer her own. It remembers the pain, remembers the child? Lin, it wants me. The wind blasted the window open as if something slammed it. The white figure from the staircase stood now only a few steps away. Hair dripping. Face hidden. Arms dangling. But its palms were covered in deep slashes. Min dragged Lin backward. Nam was still on the floor, crying gasps of hopelessness, unable to stand. Lin inhaled hard, forcing her voice steady. We have to get Tu away from it, or else. She didn't finish. The white figure lifted its head. For the first time since they entered the mansion, they saw its entire face. Black stitches sealing its mouth shut. Bruised sockets like someone had beaten it to pulp. A nose bent hideously out of shape. Finger-shaped bruises on its cheek. Dark and fresh, as if someone had slapped her moments before she died. And on the tongue inside that sewn mouth, a tiny fetus clung to it, wriggling faintly, still alive. Tu let out a shrill, broken laugh. It remembers its child, and it wants someone to carry it again. Nam cried harder, folding into himself. We're dead, we're really dead. Min shouted, hauling Tu and Nam backward. Lin, the back door, behind the kitchen, run. Lin spun toward the kitchen hall. Bang! The back door slammed shut as if hit by a battering ram. No exit left. The white figure stepped forward. Its trembling hand reached out toward Tu, as if claiming what was once taken from it. Lin had no choice. She grabbed Min's hand, yelling, "Cover Tu, head for the first floor window. Break the glass." But as they turned, a whisper hissed directly against Lin's ear, cold as water from the bottom of a well. "No one leaves my house." And at that exact moment, every flashlight in their hands went out. The mansion drowned in absolute darkness. And the sound of a crying infant crawled closer and closer, circling their legs. The air inside the mansion fell into an eerie stillness, as if Kwan's disappearance had only made the house more eager to swallow whatever remained of the Zero Club. Outside the windows, the Vung Tau sea wind surged in violent gusts, dragging a fishy, metallic stench that slithered through the cracks in the decaying wood and into every breath they took. The four remaining members huddled tightly in the hallway, where a trembling flashlight beam carved a thin ribbon of light that looked ready to die at any second. Hang drew in a deep breath, but the deeper she inhaled, the more the damp, moldy smell, like clothes soaked in seawater for days, forced her stomach to twist. She gripped Lee's hand tightly, her fingers cold as if dipped in ice. Tongue swept his flashlight toward the 99-step staircase, where the pitch-black void waited like the open jaws of a starving beast. Lam stayed at the back, his eyes darting around, convinced someone was breathing behind his neck, wet, heavy, raspy breaths. Tung looked at the group, voice barely steady as he tried to keep calm. "We have to find him. We can't leave him now." His words trembled, thin and brittle like the last thread holding him together. The beam in Tung's hand wavered across the peeling walls, the flaking paint resembling old human skin. Lee tugged at Hang's sleeve, her eyes swollen and glossy. "But, do we really have to go down there?" Her lips trembled like they were freezing. Hang squeezed her hand, taking a deep breath to ground herself. "If we don't go, how will we know if he's still alive?" Her eyes flickered with a mix of determination and despair. Lam pressed his back to the wall. His sleeves were soaked without him noticing. "I heard it," he whispered. "I think it was calling me." He hugged his shoulders. A shiver shot through him, raising goosebumps instantly. None of them wanted to go to the basement, but Kwan's disappearance hung around their necks like a tightening noose. As the four of them crept toward the staircase, the air thickened, the flashlight beam sputtered, narrowing into suffocated streaks as if strangled by invisible hands. Tung stepped first, placing each foot carefully onto the stairs. Every step moaned with a long, agonized creak, like the last breaths of someone dying. The walls bore deep, violent scratch marks, as though someone had clawed until their nails tore off. Lee stayed in the middle, turning around every few seconds, checking if anything followed them. Hang and Lam brought up the rear, a cold draft rising from below so sharply their toes went numb. When they reached the 30th step, a sudden gust blasted upward, so strong Lee nearly slipped. Hang caught her arm just in time, heart pounding. Right then, a sharp metallic clang rang from below, like something heavy and steel-like had been hurled against the stone floor. Tung froze, breathing ragged, flashlight aimed straight into the abyss. Silence swallowed everything. Then, footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps pulling something heavy. Wet. Sloppy. Like mud-soaked sandals scraping across a swamp. Lam convulsed with fear. It's coming up." His voice cracked, strangled by panic. Tung gathered what courage he had left and descended a few more steps. The basement air rose to meet them, dense with the metallic tang of blood mixed with the damp rot of stone walls. The basement looked like an abandoned storage room. Wooden shelves leaned against the walls, rotted and smothered in cobwebs thick as cocoons. The stone floor was stained by strange dark puddles, spreading out like old engine oil but smelling unmistakably of blood. Everywhere their flashlights moved, they saw footprints and erratic claw marks zigzagging across the floor, like someone had been dragged around the room. No one spoke. They were all terrified that if they said a word, something in the dark would answer. Then a faint blue glow flickered on the left side of the basement, like an old neon light refusing to die. Tung aimed his flashlight toward it, and the entire group froze. In the center of the room was a long wooden table. On top of it sat the vintage radio, the same one that had broadcast the French-speaking woman's voice in the previous episode. But the thing that sucked the breath from their lungs was the fact that the radio was already on. Its dial glowed. The numbers flickered. No one had touched it. Hang whispered, eyelids shuddering in terror. "Not again?" Her voice was barely a breath, yet it echoed sharply in the cold silence. Lee clung to Lam's arm, trembling. Do you think Kwan is here?" Her voice broke into fragments, as if holding onto one last piece of hope. Suddenly, the radio's needle snapped violently to one side. Tung's flashlight flickered rapidly, then died. Darkness swallowed the room whole. Hang gasped, fighting to stay calm. "Stay close. Don't get separated." Her breath hit Lee's neck, burning hot against the cold air. Then, a long, dragging sigh came from the radio, followed by a voice layered with both French and Vietnamese, like two people whispering at once. "Turn back." The group froze in place, their feet rooted to the cold stone floor. And then, From behind the radio, in the farthest corner of the room, a pale hand emerged. Its fingers were impossibly long, bent backward like broken bones. And as it crawled forward, it left behind thick, sticky black trails across the floor. The air in the basement thickened into something almost solid as that pale hand crawled out a little farther. The faint, sickly glow from the radio flickered again and again, pulsing like the shallow breathing of something invisible. The elongated fingers bent and snapped grotesquely, joints cracking as if someone were twisting them from the inside. Tongue staggered back, slamming into an old wooden shelf. Cobwebs rained down into his hair, but he didn't dare brush them off, afraid any sudden movement would draw that thing closer. Lee's eyes widened, pupils shrinking to pinpoints. Her shoulders trembled uncontrollably. It's really crawling out, she whispered, voice cracking like wind squeezing through a broken window. Hang leaned in front of her, trying to shield her even as her lips drained of color. Wait, don't scream, don't move too fast. Her breath was sharp, cold, almost metallic with fear. Lam pressed against the wall, arms wrapped over his chest as if trying to contain himself. I told you, we shouldn't have come down here. His voice was tiny, trembling like he was seconds from breaking down. The deformed hand stretched farther, dragging out a wrist so thin it looked snapped. Black veins crawled across it like burned, twisted roots. A rattling noise echoed from the darkness, like some wooden object being dragged across the floor. Tongue squeezed his flashlight, trying desperately to turn it on, but it only clicked uselessly. Each failed spark a nail of panic. The radio exhaled again, long, wet, heavy, so close they felt it on their necks. Then a voice oozed out, thick with fluid, crawling up from a drowned throat. Come, here. Hang swallowed hard, chest tightening. A cold draft swept through the room, carrying the reek of metal mixed with seawater and algae, like they were standing at the bottom of a well. And then, from behind that creeping hand, a head slowly rose. Not in a human way, not by muscles, but as if yanked upward by invisible strings. A bald, bone-white head. No hair. No eyes. Just two deep black sockets like the mouths of tunnels. Its face was long, twisted, stretched as though someone had gripped it and pulled until the flesh warped. Lee clamped a hand over her mouth, lips shaking violently. Her eyes flooded with terror. Oh God, it's looking at us. Her voice cracked like a sob trapped in her throat. Tongue backed away shakily, blood drained from his face. Does anyone else still see that crack in the left wall? He whispered breathlessly. Hang darted her gaze toward it, her eyes widening. We can slip through there, then run up the stairs. Her hands were ice cold, but she kept Lee close beside her. But at that exact second, the warped head froze. The empty sockets actually rotated, toward the group, like invisible eyes were turning inside. And then, it smiled. Not a laugh, not a sound formed by lips, but a wet, throaty khhhrrrkkk bubbling out from deep inside. Slick and salt-stained like seawater dribbling down its throat. A line of thick, black liquid oozed from its jaw, dripping onto the stone floor with soft, sticky taps. Lam let out a broken cry, shoulders shaking like a child lost in a crowd. It's smiling at us, it knows we're here. His voice fractured into pieces. Hang grabbed his wrist and yanked. Move, don't stand there. Her voice was sharp with desperation, the last thread of reason she could hold. Tongue spun toward the left crack in the wall, his flickering flashlight catching the faint glow of an old bulb beyond it, like a dying lantern trying to guide them. The four of them slipped between the shelves, stepping as quietly as possible, but the damp stone echoed every sound. Every step. Tack, 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 rang out like hammer blows. The eyeless creature tilted its head toward the noise. Its long neck twisted unnaturally, bones popping like branches bent to breaking. Lee panicked, slipping on a dark puddle. The wet slap of her foot hitting the floor echoed. The group froze. So did the creature. Then, it moved. A scraping sound. A dragging sound. A relentless, predatory soat. As it pulled itself toward them. Tongue glanced at the crack in the wall, whispering, voice bone dry. 3 more steps, just 3, follow me. Hang wrapped her arm around Lee, breath shaking. Don't look back, don't look at it. But Lam couldn't help it. He turned his head, just a little. And he saw it. The creature was crawling, using all 4 limbs, but its joints bent backward. Like its legs had been snapped and twisted behind it. It moved like a spider. Fast. Terrifyingly fast. Lam screamed, a metallic, scraping sound tearing from his throat. It's coming. He bolted, dragging the others with him. Tongue lunged at the narrow doorway, yanked the rotting wooden door open, and all 4 of them tumbled inside. Just as the door slammed shut behind them, a thunderous bang slammed into the other side, shaking the entire wall. And then, a wet, slithering giggle pressed right up against the crack of the door. The rotten wooden door slammed shut behind them, shaking violently as though something on the other side was pounding against it. The dim yellow bulb overhead cast a weak circle of light, just bright enough to reveal dust drifting in the air and streaks of green mold crawling along the walls. No one dared breathe too loudly. They pressed their backs together, eyes fixed on the trembling door, throbbing in rhythm with their own racing hearts. A slow scratching began. Scree, scree, scree. Like long fingernails dragging down wood, each pull shaved off thin strands that fluttered to the stone floor with brittle, papery sounds. Tongue swallowed hard. The lump in his throat lodged like a rock. It's standing right outside, he whispered, eyes flicking toward the door but afraid to look too long. Lee clutched Hang's arm, her shoulders trembling as if the ocean wind were tearing straight through her. Don't let it come in, please. Her lips were pale, her voice barely more than a prayer to herself. Hang narrowed her eyes, trying to appear calm though her grip on Lee's wrist had gone cold and rigid. No one touch the door, stay still, wait for it to leave. Her breath came out in white puffs like smoke. Suddenly, the radio in Tongue's pocket flicked on. No one touched it. No one moved. It lit up by itself, as if an invisible hand twisted the dial. The light blinked twice. Then a child's voice burst out, sharp, wet, too close. Mom, it hurts? Lee's grip tightened on Hang, her face draining of color. Oh God, it's crying right next to us. Her voice shattered into hiccuping sobs. Tongue reached into his pocket to turn the radio off. But his fingers brushed something wet and ice cold. He jerked his hand back, heart skipping violently. When he lifted his hand, everyone froze. In his palm was a wad of cotton, soaked in fish sauce. Warm, fresh, like it had just been pulled from someone's mouth. The radio crackled again. This time it was a woman's voice. Low, broken, like a dying confession buried for decades. Don't leave my baby. Hang clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes blown wide. It's looking for the child that died inside her. Her shoulders shook as the words escaped. Then, the scratching outside stopped. Everything went dead silent. A suffocating stillness filled the room, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. And then, from beneath the door, a finger slid through. Tiny, pink, soft like newborn skin, but smeared with dirt, black blood, and fish sauce. The little finger groped blindly, searching, reaching for someone's foot. Lee recoiled so hard she slammed into the wall, tears spilling down her cheeks. Don't let it touch me. If it touches me, we're dead. Tongue gathered every scrap of courage he had and kicked a wooden crate into the bottom of the door. Bang! The finger was trapped, but it didn't pull back. It strained, twisted, then, snap. The severed piece dropped to the stone floor, bouncing like a chunk of raw flesh. But the worst part was not the finger. It was the sound that followed. A newborn's wail, piercing, anguished, as if the tiny creature itself had felt the pain. The radio shrieked with static, then died. Darkness swallowed the room again. They didn't move. Not a twitch. 1 minute. 2. Still nothing. Maybe it had finally left. But then, the ceiling bulb flickered. Once. Twice. 3 times. Lamb whispered, voice barely there. 3 flickers. Does that mean it's still here? Hang didn't answer. She was staring at the far end of the room. A corner drenched in complete darkness. When the bulb flickered the 4th time, a face was standing there. Dead white. No eyes. No mouth. Just a stretched sheet of skin rippling gently, breathing. All 4 of them stumbled backward until their spines hit the wall. Their breaths turned ragged, dry, painful. The face drifted closer. Then closer still. Its movement completely silent. As if it didn't touch the ground at all. Lee gripped Hang's hand so tightly their knuckles cracked. If it gets any closer, we're done, all of us. Suddenly, the white face snapped violently. A long split cracked open across its forehead. The skin peeled back, widening, stretching, until it formed a huge, dripping mouth filled with fish sauce and cotton. From deep inside that fleshy rupture came a voice. "It's your turn." The horrifying night in the basement had ended, but that pale face with the torn, gaping mouth had only been a warning. What awaited them upstairs in the mansion was far more terrifying. Thank you for listening until the end of episode 2 of The Haunted Mansion of Vung Tau. If you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in episode 3, where the truth behind the unborn child inside Wat Yu Lan will finally begin to unfold. The content in this video is a work of horror fiction, created solely for entertainment and to bring a chilling experience to the audience. We do not endorse superstition or encourage any dangerous actions mentioned in the story. Any resemblance to real individuals, locations, or events is purely coincidental. Some images featured in the video may be exaggerated for dramatic effect and to illustrate certain narrative elements. Thank you sincerely for accompanying Darkness in the Night.